Hello, I'm Mark Bacuzzi, and today I'm going to talk about ethical innovation, AI-driven solutions for bridging the IRB gap in edge science research. Some of you may know me from my work at the Windbridge Institute or the Windbridge Research Center, but today I'm here for CPAR, the Committee for the Ethical Application of Psychic and Afterlife Research. CPAR's mission is to guide the ethical application of psi-based technologies across multiple sectors, ensuring that these innovations contribute positively to society without compromising ethical principles. CPAR was launched shortly after the publication of my book, Beyond the Physical, and you can learn more at cpar.org. So the current project that CPAR is working on is the Human Participant Protection Program, or HP3, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. But before I get into all that, let's go over a little background. So let's say you're a researcher and you have an interesting idea for a study. That study involves human participants. Well, the moment that happens, that triggers a series of responsibilities on the part of the researcher to make sure that their research is being conducted ethically and up to standards that are set for working with human participants. Now, if you're part of a existing organization or large institution, you probably already have access to things like an IRB, an institutional review board, ethics committees, oversight processes, and other kinds of infrastructure. But what happens if you don't? What happens if you're an independent researcher or an ad hoc group of independent researchers coming together for a specific project? What do you do then? Well, not having ethical approval for your project is potentially very problematic because it can lock you out of publications, it can prevent you from getting future funding, and there may be legal requirements that you're not adhering to. Having the approval can increase legitimacy and trust between you and your research participants and you and the rest of the community. And frankly, it's just following these ethical guidelines is just really the right thing to do. So does all this really apply to edge science? I mean, overall, the edge science community studies wacky stuff like UFOs and telepathy and precognition and energy and all this kind of fringe science stuff that the mainstream doesn't always take very seriously. So why do we have to adhere to their rules? And the answer to that question is yes, we absolutely need to adhere to the ethical standards set for human research participants. And I would argue that even we need to, in edge science research, we need to do it even more than in some areas of traditional science. So what are your options? Well, you could partner with someone that has an existing IRB, but you'll probably end up having to do the bulk of the work. You can hire an IRB, but they're very expensive and they may have bias against edge science topics. You could assemble your own IRB, but that takes time, and depending on how many projects you plan on doing or how much resources you have and access to external people, this may not actually be an option for everyone. Plus, you also run into the problem of potentially having bias against edge science topics again. Or you can just skip it altogether. And again, if you do that, then you run into those problems of funding and publication and all that stuff. So where does this leave you? Well, imagine a different scenario. What if there was a tool that provided you with a true collaborator, someone that would work with you to create your IRB documents, your ethical reviews, and ensure that your project was sound and treating your participants with respect? What if it was free and cost no money out of pocket? What if it had a balanced perspective towards edge science topics? And what if it had an open access repository where all this information is kept for other researchers and educators and students to learn from, and also so they can check progress of any particular project? Well, that's the point of the Human Participant Protection Program, or HP3. So what exactly is HP3 and how does it work? The Human Participant Protection Program is a custom AI tool designed to simulate the Institutional Review Board, or IRB, process, ensuring ethical compliance in ed science research. HP3 streamlines the review process through 4 main phases: setup, review, determination, and retention, and we'll talk about those. It allows researchers to submit their projects efficiently, receive detailed feedback, and make necessary adjustments, all while emphasizing transparency and collaboration to protect participants and enhance research quality. All right, let's go through these 4 phases together: setup, review, determination, and retention. And we'll start with setup. So what exactly is the setup phase? Well, one of the crucial pieces of this is that every researcher or every research team or every project has to designate a single point of contact, which is a person called the Research Ethics Coordinator, or REC. Once that's done, you simply create an account on the HP3 platform, and then you download the review submission form, fill it out, and submit it for review. Since this is really the most critical piece, I'm going to focus on the REC. This other stuff is pretty self-explanatory. So, designating a Research Ethics Coordinator. The role of the Research Ethics Coordinator, so that they oversee and are responsible for ethical compliance. However, this person isn't just anyone you can pick. They need to have been trained in research ethics. And this training is through free classes at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. So all these classes are available and certifications are available for free for anyone that wants to take them. And for HP3, we require human research protection foundational training, participant-centered informed consent training, and considerations for reviewing human subjects research. And all of those need to be completed within the last 3 years of the submission date of your project. And when you submit your project, you'll upload all these credentials with your review form so that it makes for a full package that can then be evaluated by the system. Okay, so that was set up. Let's talk about review. So the review phase, completing the form. So this is the first page of the research proposal review form. This is a standardized form that everyone uses. And those of you who have ever worked with IRBs before will see that this is pretty straightforward. However, what's important here is for the system to work properly, you are going to need to provide very detailed information. The more information you provide, the more helpful the review will be. Includes any supporting documents as necessary, along with the REC certification verifications. And then when you're done filling out the form, you email it to the HP3 system. And a response will arrive back to you with your review and suggestions in just a few minutes, unlike days or weeks that could take with a traditional IRB. So let's just look at a quick example of a hypothetical lucid dreaming study. So you have the form. This particular researcher, who does not exist for this hypothetical study, filled out their form. And you can see the form doesn't provide a lot of information, just the basics. But that's okay. You can start with this and then build up on it as through an iterative process. So what happened when we took this form and we submitted it to HP3? Well, the results were quite long and far too lengthy and detailed to go into a presentation like this. But so I simply asked the system, please provide a concise list of the top 10 issues for use in a presentation. And it did. So I'm not going to go through all these, but the point is that it looks at everything from, making sure your consents are right to making sure you've got background or follow up with your participants and so on. So it's a very comprehensive review. Okay, let's talk about determination. So this is the most worthless flowchart ever, but basically when you get your feedback, you can either accept the feedback and update your documents and send it back to the system and you'll get an approval letter, or you'll reject the feedback, tell the system that, and you'll get a disapproval letter. However, there's this important piece in between that I didn't stress too much, which is this discussion piece where you and the system get to interact with each other and ask each other questions and form your research together to make sure that you're conducting a strong study and that you're adhering to all the required ethical standards. So it's not just accept or reject. This is an ongoing collaborative effort between you and the system to finally come up with a strong project. And you're not doing it by yourself. You're being guided and have a mentor and someone that can discuss decisions with you along the way. So let's talk about the last part of the project, which is retention. So document retention, you can think of this as like pre-registration for ethics reviews. And the reason why we do this is because it's an opportunity to protect participants' rights, maintain accountability and transparency, and facilitates ongoing learning and improvement in the ethics review process for independent edge science researchers. Okay, now that we've covered all the main aspects of the system, let's enter into a little discussion. So, is this too much too soon? Probably. There's still a lot of questions and distrust surrounding AI. Is this suitable for all projects? Absolutely not. Some projects will still need traditional IRB reviews, especially ones that are funded by the government or include very invasive procedures. But maybe we can acknowledge that there are project researchers that don't need full reviews that could benefit from this system and support them. And I'm talking to you, journal editors and funding organizations, specifically in the edge science fields. Improvements. Yeah, absolutely. In the short term, there should probably be more human check-in points beyond just a single rec. So I'm considering something like the creation of a rec pool, similar to how journal editors have a pool of reviewers that they pull in depending on the kinds of projects. So maybe the project rec works with another rec, and the two of them are working together with the system. Not sure how that's all going to play out yet, but that's the short-term solution. The long-term solution is simply better AI. As AI increases its capabilities, this process will become much smoother and more efficient and more reliable. So just some final thoughts. As we stand on the brink of a new era in research, let us embrace the transformative power of AI, not just as a tool, but as a partner in our quest for knowledge. By empowering independent researchers and championing ethical standards, we can create a vibrant, inclusive scientific community where every voice matters. Let us navigate this journey with curiosity and compassion, ensuring that the pursuit of truth uplifts humanity and honors the dignity of all those who participate in the exploration of our world. Just some quick acknowledgments. I want to thank Dr. Julie Beischel, my partner in all things. Our love is written forever in the stars. Ryan, Lisa, Julia, Michael, Katie, Toggle, Ada, and all the folks that are rallying around the AI and Sci initiatives that are happening. It's very exciting. Our our friends and family who have been supporting Julie and I through a relatively difficult time, the SSE Program Committee for allowing me to give this presentation, and of course, you for being here and sitting through it. Again, if you have any questions about this particular project, I'd recommend emailing me at mark@cpar.org. And you, of course, can also visit the other work that I do at scihacking.com, wimbridgeinstitute.com, or thewimbridscenter.org. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.